November 19th, 1703. The Bastille, Paris. An elderly prisoner dies in his cell. He is perhaps 70 years old. He has been imprisoned for decades, some say 34 years, most of that time in complete isolation. Throughout his imprisonment, one rule has been absolute: his face must never be seen. He wears a mask, not iron as legend claims, but black velvet reinforced with whalebone. It covers his face entirely. It is locked with a padlock. He cannot remove it. He cannot show his face, ever. But he is no ordinary prisoner. He is treated with unusual courtesy. His jailer, Benin d'Auvergne de Saint-Marc, personally serves him. He has fine clothes, good food, privacy, respect, everything except freedom, and everything except his identity. When he dies, he is buried immediately, in the cemetery of St. Paul, under a false name, Marchioly. No ceremony, no mourners, no record of who he really was. His cell is scrubbed clean, his furniture burned, his plates and utensils melted down, every trace of him erased. But whispers escape, rumors spread. Who was this man? Why was his face hidden? What secret did he carry that the King of France, the Sun King Louis XIV himself, kept locked behind velvet and stone for decades? For over 300 years, historians, novelists, and conspiracy theorists have tried to answer this question. The man in the iron mask, France's most enduring mystery. This is his story, the imprisonment, the theories, the truth as much as we can know it, and the legend that grew far larger than the man.
France, 1669. The reign of Louis XIV, the Sun King, absolute monarchy at its peak. Versailles, the most magnificent palace in Europe, is under construction. Louis XIV is at the height of his power. And somewhere, a prisoner is taken into custody. 1669. A mysterious prisoner arrives at the fortress of Pignerol in the Alps, near the Italian border, a state prison for important political prisoners. He's under the care of Benin de Saint-Marc, the prison governor. From the beginning, the prisoner is treated differently from others. He's held in complete isolation, no contact with other prisoners, no visitors, no correspondence. Guards are forbidden to speak to him or listen to him. But he is given privileges: fine linen, good food, books, writing materials, though his letters are destroyed. A private cell, not a dungeon. At some point, the exact date is unclear, the prisoner begins wearing the mask, black velvet, covering his entire face, locked, always worn, even when eating, even when sleeping. Why? The official explanation: if he's recognized, it would be dangerous to the state. His identity must be concealed, always. 1681. Saint-Marc is promoted, becomes governor of the Fortress of Exiles. The masked prisoner moves with him. 1687. Saint-Marc becomes governor of the prison on St. Marguerite Island off the coast of Caen. The prisoner moves again, still masked, still isolated. 1698. Saint-Marc is appointed governor of the Bastille in Paris. The masked prisoner moves for the final time to France's most famous prison. For 34 years, through 4 different prisons, one thing never changes: the mask, the isolation, the secrecy. Saint-Marc personally attends to the prisoner, serves his meals, ensures his comfort, follows orders meticulously. This is not the treatment of a common criminal. This is a state secret, a political prisoner of the highest importance, someone whose identity must be protected at all costs. But from what? From whom?
For over 3 centuries, historians have proposed theories. some plausible, some fantastic, some completely absurd. Theory 1, and the most historically supported, the prisoner was Eustache Dauger, a valet. In 1669, the Minister of War, the Marquis de Louvois, wrote to Saint-Mars about a new prisoner arriving. He called him Eustache Dauger. Instructions: complete isolation, no communication with anyone. If he speaks about anything other than his immediate needs, kill him. This letter exists. It's real. The threat is clear. This man knows something dangerous. Probably a valet to the superintendent of finances, Nicolas Fouquet, who had been arrested for embezzlement in 1661. Fouquet was imprisoned at Pignerol. Dauger may have been involved in Fouquet's financial crimes or political conspiracies. What did Dauger know? Possibly details of Fouquet's embezzlement that implicated powerful nobles, secrets about court scandals, information about poisonings or conspiracies. Not world-shattering, but dangerous enough that Louis XIV wanted him permanently silenced without execution. Dauger was an ordinary valet, no one of importance, but if he was seen, someone might recognize him and make connections to Fouquet or other scandals. The mask ensured anonymity. This theory is supported by documents, but it's boring. A valet? Not a prince or a duke? Not dramatic enough for legend. Theory 2, popularized by Alexandre Dumas in his 1847 novel, The Vicomte de Bragelonne, the prisoner was Louis XIV's identical twin brother. According to this theory, Queen Anne of Austria gave birth to twins in 1638. Louis, the future Sun King, was born first. His twin brother followed minutes later. But two identical heirs would create a succession crisis, civil war, chaos. So the second twin was hidden, raised in secret, then imprisoned as an adult to prevent any claim to the throne. His face was masked because he looked exactly like the king. Dramatic, romantic, tragic. Brothers, one on the throne of the most powerful kingdom in Europe, one locked behind a mask, perfect for fiction. No evidence Louis XIV had a twin. Royal births were public events with dozens of witnesses. A twin couldn't be hidden. If he existed, execution would be simpler than decades of expensive imprisonment. The dates don't match. Masked prisoner appeared 1669, not 1638. Dumas created this theory for his novel. It has no historical basis, but it captured the imagination.
Theory 3. The prisoner was Count Ercole Antonio Marchioly, an Italian diplomat. In 1678, Marchioly was involved in secret negotiations with Louis XIV to buy the fortress of Casale from the Duke of Mantua. Marchioly double-crossed France, revealing the negotiations to Spain and Austria. Louis XIV was furious. Marchioly was kidnapped and imprisoned at Pignerol in 1679. Timeline matches. Marchioly was imprisoned at the right place at the right time. His betrayal would warrant harsh punishment. When the masked prisoner was buried, the name on the grave was Marchioly, possibly a corruption of Marchioly. This seems to support the theory. But contemporary accounts describe the masked prisoner as speaking perfect French with no accent. Marchioly was Italian. Would he speak flawless French? Theory 4. The prisoner was an illegitimate son of Louis XIV or another royal bastard. Louis XIV had many mistresses and many illegitimate children. What if one was kept secret? What if this child posed a threat? The mask would hide royal features. The kind treatment would make sense for a prince, even an illegitimate one. No evidence of such a child. Louis XIV openly acknowledged his illegitimate children and gave them titles. Why hide one but not the others? Again, execution would be simpler. Theory 5. More recent and speculative. The prisoner knew dangerous secrets about Jean-Baptiste Molière, the famous playwright. Some theories suggest Molière was Louis XIV's illegitimate half-brother
or that Molière's plays contained coded political messages. Someone who knew this had to be silenced. Pure speculation, no evidence. Most historians believe the prisoner was Eustache Dauger, a valet who knew financial or political secrets dangerous enough to warrant perpetual imprisonment, but not execution. Boring? Perhaps, but supported by actual documents. 1847. Alexandre Dumas publishes The Vicomte de Bragelonne, part of the D'Artagnan romances. In it, the man in the iron mask is Philippe, identical twin brother of Louis XIV. Hidden at birth, imprisoned to prevent him from claiming the throne, the three musketeers attempt to rescue him and replace Louis with Philippe. Dumas's novel was wildly popular, translated into dozens of languages, adapted into plays, films, and TV shows. Leonardo DiCaprio played the dual role, Louis XIV and Philippe, in the 1998 film. The twin brother theory became the official version in popular culture. Most people today know the man in the iron mask was Louis XIV's twin. But it's fiction. Dumas invented it. The historical prisoner wore a velvet mask, black velvet reinforced with whalebone. But man in the velvet mask doesn't sound as dramatic. Iron mask is harsher, more sinister, better for legend. The iron mask comes from early 18th century rumors and exaggerations. Dumas embraced it. Now it's permanent. 1929 film starring Douglas Fairbanks. 1939 film starring Louis Hayward. 1977 film starring Richard Chamberlain. 1998 film starring Leonardo DiCaprio. TV series, comics, novels. Each adaptation adds new details, changes facts, invents drama. The legend grows further from reality with each retelling. A prisoner was held from approximately 1669 to 1903. He wore a mask, velvet, not iron. He was treated with unusual respect. His identity was kept secret. He was buried under the name of Marchioly. St. Mars was his jailer through multiple prisons. Louis XIV wanted him hidden, not dead. What we don't know: his real name with certainty, exactly why he was imprisoned, what secret he held, why the mask was necessary. What actual historical evidence exists? The Minister of War writes to St. Mars about the arrival of Eustache Dauger, orders complete isolation, threat of death if he speaks about anything substantive. This letter is real. It establishes a prisoner arrived in 1669. Letters between St. Mars and the French ministers mention the prisoner, never named, being moved between prisons. Instructions remain: complete secrecy. After the prisoner's death in 1703, stories began circulating. Voltaire, in 1751, wrote about the prisoner in The Age of Louis XIV. He claimed the man wore an iron mask and was possibly Louis XIV's older brother. Voltaire's account is dramatic but unreliable. He was writing decades later and loved a good story. The Bastille Register lists a prisoner dying November 19, 1703, under the name Marchioly. The prisoner was buried in the cemetery of St. Paul under the name Marchioly, age 45. Clearly false. He was elderly. Why Marchioly? Possibly a corruption of Marchioly, the Italian count theory, a complete fabrication, or a bureaucratic error. The grave no longer exists. The cemetery was demolished. None. The cell was scrubbed. Everything burned or melted. No mask survives. No personal effects. Nothing physical remains. Just documents and questions. Most historians today believe the prisoner was Eustache Dauger. He was a valet involved in Fouquet's financial scandals or other court intrigues. He knew secrets about powerful nobles or possibly poisonings. The mask prevented recognition, not because he was royal, but because someone might connect him to Fouquet or scandals. The kind treatment was Louis XIV's way of avoiding execution, which might have raised questions. Not dramatic, not romantic, just practical absolutist monarchy managing political embarrassments.
Why does this mystery fascinate us 300 years later? The image is powerful. A man whose face is forever hidden, identity erased, humanity denied. It's visceral, it's cruel, it's unforgettable. Louis XIV could do this, imprison a man for decades, hide his identity, erase him from history. This is absolutism in its purest, darkest form. The Sun King said, "L'État, c'est moi," I am the state. The masked prisoner proves it. One man's will, absolute. We may never know for certain who he was. The documents that could prove it might not exist anymore. They might have been destroyed. Louis XIV took the secret to his grave in 1715. Historians continue researching. Archives are re-examined. New documents occasionally surface. But the key evidence, the prisoner's true identity, may be lost forever. The truth? Probably a valet named Eustache Dauger, who knew financial or political secrets. The legend? An identical twin brother of the Sun King, hidden to prevent a succession crisis, imprisoned for life, face masked to conceal royal features. The truth is mundane, power silencing inconvenient knowledge, politics as usual. The legend is romantic, brothers, thrones, tragedy, sacrifice. It's Shakespeare, it's opera. We prefer the legend. We always have. We always will. You can visit Versailles, walk the Hall of Mirrors, see Louis XIV's apartments, imagine the absolute power wielded there. You can visit the site of the Bastille, now the Place de la Bastille in Paris. The prison is long gone, demolished during the French Revolution. And you can wonder, did a masked prisoner really walk these spaces? Did he look out these windows? Did he die without anyone ever seeing his face? The man in the iron mask, a velvet mask, a hidden face, a lost identity, a state secret taken to the grave. 321 years after his death, he remains one of history's great mysteries. Not because we can't guess who he was, but because we'll never know for sure. And maybe that's fitting. Louis XIV wanted him hidden. Hidden he remains, even in death, even in legend. The Man in the Iron Mask, 1669-1703. Identity unknown, mystery unsolved.